Greetings, Fall Conference. I am Leif Sorgule. I am a high school technology and engineering teacher in upstate New York, little town called Peru. It borders Plattsburgh, if you're familiar with the area. This year, my school is a little goofy, just like all yours. We're teaching in a hybrid scenario, so the kids are in the school part of the time, 2 days a week, and they are fully remote 3 days a week. And then I also have a mix of kids that are all the time fully remote, and in their in-person day, they are doing a live stream in session with a Google Meet or Zoom into my classroom. So I am teaching a mix of content. Kids are doing remote activities as the same day that I'm teaching kids that are in person. And the in-person kids I'm teaching face-to-face as well as on my computer screen at the same time. It's even hard to explain, and I've been doing it for about a little over a month or a month and a half now. So the tip or technique that I wanted to demo for my fall conference presentation day is how I've incorporated the technology and engineering space into a digital platform using Google Street View to create a 360 photosphere of my technology and engineering class environment. And you'll see a demo clip here. So this is my classroom I created. This allows the kids that are totally virtual to see the classroom space. It also allows a student that is doing remote assignments on their all virtual day. You'll see how I use it to have them be interactive in the classroom space, even though they're not physically in that seat. And it is a pretty easy technique to accomplish this. And then once you get the hang of it, you can edit the feature very easily yourself too. You'll see in the photosphere, it is a 360 photo, so the kids can be a little interactive, just like they're in a Google Street View or Google Earth. It's a little glitchy, like you can see this chair is a little messed up, but for the most part, it's super impressive that they can see all the tools and equipment that we're going to talk about, that we're going to use, or that they're going to get to use remotely if they pair up with a student that's in person on their in-person day. I've been leaning a lot on CNC type equipment for hands-on projects, so 3D printing or a CNC router, or we have a laser engraver in the back. That way kids can send a file in, and then I can have a kid run their file in front of them from something that they designed themselves, and then they can see that process coming in to fruition in real life. So we're going to go into how I created this photosphere and the benefits of it, and then how I originally thought I was going to use it, and then how I'm using it now. So it's going to be a resource that I can continue to improve on and use in the future throughout this crazy year, but then also how I can use it probably in the future after, maybe when we get back to normal or whatever that application is. So the major benefit, I first start off the school year typically by giving the kids a technology lab scavenger hunt. So they have a list of items to find, and then they have a not to scale map of the technology room where they have to locate those items, and then say like the sink is a number 2. They have to label the sink as a number 2 in the map. So to make it all digital, I had them each get a copy of a Google slide that I made this little graphic on, and then they just write in the numbers and they can hand it in. We're a Google-based school, so they hand it in the Google Classroom. But then I was thinking, well, how can I have this intro assignment work for the kids that are never physically in the room? And I stumbled upon a website called ThingLink. So ThingLink, you can take a photo of something, and then you can attach links to that photo. or you could see more details, or it could send you, to another link to another resource that you can access later on. And when I saw ThingLink, I thought originally I could take a photo of the room and then put a link to it, and then they can see info about the tools. But in some of their demonstrations, they had 360-degree photos. So then I started spiraling in and said, okay, how can I actually make a 360 photo? I don't have a 360 camera. And I found a great application called Google Street View, which I'll show you in a second, that is for free. And if you have a smartphone, you can create a 360 photo just using that app and your phone. Now in my classroom for the scavenger hunt, I had a bunch of resources already created on my website or a digital version. So all the resources were there, and the 360 photo with these links just allowed it to link to those little resources. So a kid can explore around the room and then look at the different features. So we have TL3 laser engraver. We have common tools that they could use, like a bandsaw, and then I have a little bandsaw safety test or more information about a bandsaw. I have, basic tool like a jointer, and then they can learn a little bit about jointer safety, so I could link to them too. We have a couple of Doobot robotic arms, which is a great company for including some sort of industrial robotic application into your classroom, which I can talk about further later. We have a CNC router in the back, and they can click to see more examples of a CNC router project if they wanted to from my website. Pretty neat. They can go along and say, hey, what's in this door? You know what that is? And that's material and project storage. So I had all these pictures and clips from over the years that were already available, and now I'm just, it's kind of like a hyperlinked document, except it's in a 360 photo. I have my office to go to as well. So the process that I used to make this 360 photosphere is through an application that you can get on your phone called Google Street View. And I'm sure that's not the only one, but it's the first one I used, and it is very easy. I knew nothing about taking a 360 photo, and it kind of walks you through it. So let's take a look at my phone's image. So if you pull up your phone, and then it's called Google Street View, so you can use it to access an application that will guide you through the process of making the photo. You want to allow the app to access your photos so you can save it in there. And then if you have a 360 camera, you can import your own photo. But for this case, I didn't. I was just going to use their camera in the app. And then when you have the camera app pulled up, it's going to give you these little guide dots where now it'll walk you through taking probably like 30 pictures, and we'll just go through fast here. Boom, boom, boom. So this is sped up. It probably took me about 10 minutes altogether. This is just out in a field because I didn't have a video clip of me actually doing this process. So going through, taking all these photos, and then when it's totally done, it's going to give you an option on the screen to either publish it to Google Street View, or you could download it. Now, I'm going to recommend you guys, probably you don't want to publish it out just because school guidelines and stuff, you don't want to get yourself in trouble. But you can make it or keep it private, because in this application I was using, I was tagging my whole classroom. So I didn't want to, map that onto a map and people get a look into your classroom. I don't know. I didn't want to get into that realm of what's okay to do and what's not okay to do. So I didn't want to tag it onto a Google map for everyone to see, but I just downloaded it. And then when you download your application, what it ends up being is this very weird photo of, let me see if I can pull it up. This very weird photo that is a 360 photo, but it is laid out flat. Like if you took a globe and then cut the globe and laid it out flat, it looks very distorted, and you can't really do anything with that. But there's a website, and I'll put this in a little document attached to my folder too, called thinglink.com. And ThingLink is a free web resource that you can make a free account and upload this photo in, and it'll be able to take that photo and recognize that it is a 360 photo sphere, and it'll wrap it around for you. The one tip I'm going to give you that I had an issue with is my phone took a really high quality image of this photosphere, and when I went to upload it into ThingLink, it wouldn't accept it because the resolution was too high. So you need to, most likely, because I bet your phones are the same way, downgrade the photo so that it is a lower resolution. How I did that is I had access to Photoshop, so I just downloaded my photo and then I opened it. I didn't even look at it in Photoshop, but I immediately just exported it as a lower resolution photo. So that same stretched out weird photo just saved as a lower resolution. If you don't have Photoshop, you can just open up a new tab in Google and say, how do I downgrade or make a lower resolution photo? And there's a bunch of free applications that you can do that photo transfer for. So when in doubt, just Google it and it'll be your friend. So this is the original one that I just showed you guys. I'll give you guys a link to it in my little resources as well, so you can look around my classroom, which is kind of cool to see other people's classroom setups. But then you can see all my links. Now what you won't be able to see is my view, which I'll give you a back end picture of, is how thinglink.com works. Is you are just adding a tag. So if I wanted to say, add a tag over to my safety glasses, I'd add a tag. You can drag that tag anywhere. You can add text and media. So I could click on that. I could upload an image or a video. I could change what the icon looks like, which I was doing too. Say it's a green X. I could give it a title. I could give it a description. And then I can also give a link to a URL. So I had a classroom website before, so all my links were already made in my website. And I have a lot of resources there too. Feel free to check it out. It's sorgule.com. And I was just linking very easily. So after I figured out how to make this photo, and I will just actually delete that tag because I don't want it. After I made this photo, it took me about another 30 minutes just to figure out where I wanted to link. But all these links have a resource. Maybe it hyperlinks into my page. Maybe it links to a video clip that I already had on my webpage, and then maybe a link to join our robotics team. And then there are little hyperlinks you can drag around. So my robotics club info I usually have on the whiteboard up here in my classroom, so I just put it up there. I also created some hidden gems for the kids to find when they're doing their scavenger hunt. So up here, we have some drone equipment that we're using in the tech lab. So there's a link way up at the ceiling. There's a link way up here. We made a big geodesic dome, so if they're craning up in the 360 photo, they can see that little hidden gem as well. Now, originally, I thought I was just going to have this be the virtual tech lab experience, and they were going to use it for their scavenger hunt. But then I had such a great response from the kids just having fun looking around the tech room especially from the kids at home that were 100% virtual, that I decided to take that back work they already did, the 360 photo, and I can use it to update or make my assignments in my class a little bit more interactive, and I can just keep changing or updating this 360 photo link to match a current assignment. So maybe it looks like for a virtual student, they have the same classroom feeling even though they don't step foot in the classroom. So I'll give you an example here. In ThingLink, I had my original tech lab and I cloned it. So if you click on the 3 dots, you can clone. And I just started doing this. Again, we're doing a lot of new things this year. But this was met with great response. For one of my classes called Principles of Engineering, I cloned this link, and it's still the same 360 photo, but I gave the kids a direction in the assignment. We are making these little structures up here, and you can see them on the side, tensegrity structures for our unit on engineering structures. And they have to make one of these structures, whether home or virtual. But then towards the end, they're learning about what makes a structure strong, what makes it weak, what makes a structure fail or be sustainable and actually work. And they are designing some engineering tests to figure out strength of materials. So in this one mini assignment, I had them have some notes on the whiteboard, so I can click on the whiteboard. They had to then fill that note sheet out onto a new application. If you're a Google school, that's fantastic. It's called Jamboard. It's kind of like an interactive whiteboard page that the kids can either collaborate on or just have an individual one themselves. I'm having the kids make a digital notebook in it. So they needed to copy this note page down onto their Jamboard, and instead of just clicking on a link into the classroom, they had to click on this link, go into the virtual classroom, and then, hey, find the notes on the whiteboard. I think that's kind of fun. Then they had to, in a part 2 of their remote assignment, they had to go and look at some interactive media on the screen or the TV screen in the room. So they were looking at a little video clip that I made on structural forces. And then they had to complete, I believe I had to make an ed puzzle or complete some questions on an ed puzzle from this video. But they're learning about all the forces on a structure, so shear, tension, compression, that kind of thing. So where do they find the video? They have to click on the TV monitor. They had to design a test to test different strengths and different variables of a wood piece for their structure. So they had to learn about using the hydraulic press and how they can test materials onto it. And then on Wednesday in my school, every school is different, but we have an all virtual day where everybody had to attend a Google Meet, and we had to brainstorm ideas. So I had in my office area a link to my Google Meet. I just changed the edit right here so you guys don't see that link, but they could all join during that class period on the all remote Wednesday, and then we could have a collaborative experience with their Jamboards about coming up with a engineering test using the hydraulic press, talking about structural forces, and it's all in this cool interactive 360 photosphere. So the major points to this is it's a great way to get a remote student and a hybrid student that has remote time all feeling like they're part of that tech class community because they get to be part of the digital tech environment. I used Google Street View app to create this photosphere. I downgraded the photo resolution to get it to work into thinglink.com. ThingLink I just used to put these little links onto my photosphere, and now I'm using it to make an interactive lessons virtually. Looks like a lot of work, but once you had that 360 photo, everything is pretty streamlined from there, and you can easily edit and change stuff around when you get to some assignments. What I'm going to look for the future in this, playing around in the app, I can see that just like in Google Street, you could, instead of be parked in one spot and do a 360 photo, you could walk around. And there is a way you can do that. You just have to take more photospheres and link them together. So I was thinking when I get to my, say I want to go over and do some metalworking or welding, instead of clicking way back corner and not really being able to see back here, I could click an arrow on the floor and actually walk back there. I could walk into the nuts and bolts hardware area and actually look at all the bins instead. Pretty cool resource that we can expand on. The one thing that's going to be a negative to me is after I do all this work this year, I'm not going to want to move my room at all because I want to reuse these year after year. Hope you guys got something out of this. I think the process is going to be you leave a comment down below in the video if you have questions. You could email me directly too. If you want some more of my resources that I've been coming up with, you can go to my website, which is www.sorgule.com, sorgule.com. It's just what I'm doing in my classes. There's not a lot of Sorgule, so I was able to get sorgule.com. And if you wanted to follow my classroom, I just started getting the social media accounts to stay connected with my students mostly. So I just post stuff that's going on in the classes. It's at Peru CSD Tech for Twitter and Instagram if you wanted to follow along too. I get a lot of great resources just by snooping on other tech teachers on those platforms as well. Okay, best of luck for the year. Thanks for watching.